everyone. Semi-retired Bob here. I talk about the carnivore diet, all things related to the carnivore diet. And today is my 61st birthday. So we're having a special live stream today. We're going to try to go for 2 hours, of course, depending on the questions and stuff. Hopefully we won't stall out before the 2 hours is over. And my first question of the day is from Charger Mopar, who you can now see on the screen next to me. Say hello to everyone, Rick.
Hello from Duckyville.
And we've got Brody in the house, and we've got B Rose saying happy birthday. And Addicted to Antlers is here. Happy birthday, Bob. As you come in, be sure and hit the thumbs up. Go ahead and say hello when you walk in so we can say hi to you. And if you have any questions, be sure and put those in the chat as well, because we'll try to get to those. But I was talking with Rick before we went live, and I was telling him I knew for sure that he would be here. I've got a couple other guests coming eventually, but I knew for sure he would be here unless something really bad happened, like his truck floating out into the pond. And then we got to talking and decided that if his truck ended up in the pond, it would probably be because all of the ducks pushed it into the pond so they could sit there on the shore and laugh at him while he tries to get it out.
That sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And happy birthday, Bob. My 66th is on Sunday. Well, happy birthday to you too, Cindy. And from Phoenix, hello. I'm going to butcher that, but it looks like Satya. Heroes, happy birthday, Cindy. Yes, everybody say happy birthday to Cindy. And let's see here. Happy birthday, Bob. And Addicted to the Antlers. Got to get my hair cut, but wanted to wish Bob a very happy birthday. It's time for your favorite keto chow, Bob. Absolutely. In fact, if you tune into Sunday's video, I'm going to show myself cooking the steaks that I bought for myself for today. I know Bob spent money on steaks. I spent a lot of money on steaks compared. I spent pretty close to a week's food budget on the steaks that I'm going to have today. And I made myself a birthday cake keto chow to have for dessert. So that should be pretty good. So tell us, Rick, what's been going on down there in the land of Duckville?
Well, nothing exciting. I mean, I did get the flu, a week ago. I also got stung by bees about 12 times when I was doing an electrical job. My right hand had swollen up to like double size, but before I could only get my fingers about this far. Now it's back to normal. On the other hand, it's all back to normal. And then just the usual, doing jobs, hauling off trash, fixing people's problems, feeding ducks, and cleaning up a mess. Because when you're sick for a few days, then everything just kind of gets out of control. And my yard looked like basically the Amazon jungle. So I had to go out there and take care of that. And plus, I've also been tinkering with my truck, trying to plan on how I'm going to take the engine out and fix that up. There's a few pieces I had to cut off the station wagon. And I'm still waiting for a friend of mine to pick up the scrap. Otherwise, I'm going to have to try to drive to the scrapyard myself with my truck. There'll be so much smoke. It looks like mosquito control going down the road. But other than that, I'm fine.
Good. It sounds like you've got a busy week. I've certainly had a busy week here myself. And it is good to have friends, as you will see in tomorrow's video. I trimmed my bushes last week. I had a video out on that, but I wanted to get some more mulch in around them so the weeds wouldn't be so wild underneath of them. And my truck is, of course, already full of stuff that I'm planning to take with me to Florida or to Texas.
Florida?
Yeah, no, I'm not going to Florida. I'm going to Texas. But I'm taking with me to Texas. So a friend of mine went to Menards and picked up, I believe it was 12 bags, 2 cubic feet per bag of brown mulch for me. And he brought them over and actually helped me carry them over to the bushes so I didn't have to carry all the bags myself. And then I got the mulch spread out. So that was quite a bit of work, but it's nice to know I can do that kind of thing now. Whereas 2 years ago, I wouldn't have even been able to lift one of those bags, let alone carry them all over the bushes and then spread them out. Let's get back to the comments here. Yes. Unbelievable that Bob actually bought a steak. Yes, I did. I actually bought a 2-pack of ribeyes.
You know, it's funny. I did the same thing today. I got paid from my job, and they had them for $6.99 a pound in Winn-Dixie. And I saw that they didn't have any ground meat marked down. I thought, you know what? I haven't had steak all year. Now's my chance to have some. So I did the same thing.
Yeah, and mine weren't on sale. It was the two steaks together equal about 2.5 pounds, so they're about 1.25 pound steak each. And it was just under $40 for the 2 steaks.
Oh,
so it was a little on the pricey side, but I decided, you know what the heck? It's my birthday. I'm going to treat myself to some good ribeye. I've got them sitting out on the counter right now, coming up to room temperature, so that they're ready to go after this live stream is over.
You're going to enjoy it. It's a real treat. Instead of having that nasty cake, you get to have steak.
That's right. That's right. John Boston is here. Hello, John. I'm glad you made it into the live stream. Ellie Dan says, yo, back to you. Primal Mike has made it today. Hello.
All right.
Mike, I'm glad you made it today.
One of my favorite carnivores.
Yeah. He's a good guy.
Yep. I like the real carnivores. Those are my favorite.
Mm-hmm. I cannot believe Bob has done 2 years of all beef and no sardines on his birthday. I'm not into sardines, although our favorite sardine person has checked into the chat down here. Did Rick use iguana jerky to pay you for his appearance today? That's funny. But it does bring up an interesting idea. Have you ever considered making iguana jerky?
No, I haven't.
I think that would be actually fairly good because you've said how much you like iguana. And since you get them quite frequently, rather than just getting them and eating them all right away, to have something to take with you in your truck when you go out to a job site, having some iguana jerky in your back pocket might come in handy if you get a little hungry and need a little snack while you're lifting stuff.
It's possible. Although, you know, a couple days ago, my portable barbecue finally quit, so I threw it in the scrap pile. I had to cook over a flower pot yesterday, but it still tasted good, even though I cooked on a flower pot.
Yeah, you know, being very into the homesteading, do-it-yourself kind of stuff, I saw a video where a person took 3 cement blocks, stacked one on top of the other 2 and broke them in such a way. Basically, he made a little rocket stove out of 3 cinder blocks and then just stuck a grate over top of it and cooked up some steaks on top of cinder blocks. So as long as you're willing to use a little bit of imagination, there's never a reason not to be able to cook on an open fire.
Did you ever see the video I made of my homemade grill, which is basically a rebar driven in the ground with a pipe welded to a grill, and then you kind of raise it up and down? I've had several videos where I had a fire going and I was cooking steaks on that.
Yes, I have seen that. And that's, you know, I have seen those. Your solution is much better because I'm guessing you spend a grand total of about $1 or $2 on parts to put that together. Whereas, you know, there's a company that actually makes those. It's a big thing that sits over the fire and it swings out so you can get your stuff off without having to risk burning yourself. And it's adjustable height. It's sturdy enough that you can like hang a cast iron kettle on it and all that kind of stuff. But they want like $600 for this thing.
I made it out of a window grate, rebar, and a bolt, and it's all welded together. I think I spent $1 on welding rods.
Yeah, see? So if you guys are considering something to put in your backyard, the way Rick does it may not be as pretty as the stuff you buy off of the internet, but it works just as good. And it's $1 for welding rods as opposed to $600. So something to consider there, guys.
You can grill meat. I mean, I've grilled meat with nothing but twigs and rocks. It's not that difficult, you know. That's one of the great things about carnivore diet. Once you got something to eat, you can always find a way to cook it.
Absolutely. And let's see here. Thinking of raising our own steers. Yeah, that would be ideal for me. I would like to have some cattle, but I know I'm not nearly skilled enough to handle cattle, which is when I get to my place in Texas. When I decide to start trying to do animals, the first animal I do is either going to be rabbits or chickens. Both have their advantages. Of course, chickens give you eggs. So there is that. The main thing I'm looking at, though, is that the waste product from either of those animals can be used as fertilizer to make the ground better so that you can start raising more things. Primarily, I want to raise grass so that sheep or goats can eat the grass. But chicken poo, you have to compost it for a while for it to be safe to put on the ground and grow stuff with. Whereas rabbit pellets, I forget what it is, the nitrogen content and acidity is just right so that you can actually take rabbit droppings and dump them right on your growing garden. And they will fertilize the ground without burning anything up. So it's kind of a toss-up which way I want to go with that.
Well, a lot of it depends on what kind of garden conditions you have, because I don't compost the duck poop. The ducks deposit the poop immediately on my garden, and I don't have a problem. But that's because I have adequate water and I have plenty of compost. I have plenty of organic matter. All the leaves, all the dead branches, everything. I grind it up with a lawnmower. In my yard, you don't even get to the dirt. The first 7 or 8 inches is just black compost. So every time that a duck ejects some of their duck poop, it goes straight onto the compost. It helps break it down. So in my yard, composting takes place automatically.
Yeah, and where my chunk of land is in the desert, I'm going to have to actually work at composting. So we'll see. I'll just have to experiment with both and see what happens. I mean, I fully expect the first batch of baby chicks or baby rabbits that I acquire are going to die a brutal, horrible death within the first few days because I won't know what the heck I'm doing. But we'll see. You know, I've watched enough videos that I know what I'm supposed to look for and know what I'm supposed to do. But given my luck with stuff, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Patricia has arrived. Hi, Bob and Rick. Happy birthday, Bob. And happy 2-year anniversary on Carnivore. Keep the videos coming. Thank you, Patricia. Hey, we're up to 27 people already.
That's good.
Yes, indeed.
I didn't scare them off yet.
Not yet, but I expect it to happen as the day wears on. Jay is here. Hello, Jay. And Karsten is here. Hello, Karsten. Glad you made it today. And Craig actually has a question here. I'm working on a sardine cake recipe. Do you think all the sardine juice in the cake will keep it preserved long enough to ship it to Beefy Bob? No, not even close. So you should probably just abandon that project, Craig. What's your thoughts on that, Rick?
I don't know. If I had a sardine cake, I think I'd give it to the ducks. You know, ducks love fish.
Yeah, and of course, Craig wasn't here last week when we were talking about, it was Professor K's video. I think it might have been when I was on with Rick, when I was on with Dave. I don't remember when, but Professor K was looking at Lily Kane's video.
Mm-hmm. I saw that.
And about 20 times throughout the video, he kept saying, ditch the fish, ditch the fish. So I found that interesting, and I actually thought about Craig every time he said ditch the fish. I thought, yeah, Craig should be watching this one.
I don't know. I happen to like sardines, and they've never seemed to hurt me. Maybe that's why I'm such a wreck.
Yeah, well, and I've always said if you like something, go ahead and eat it, but don't try to force yourself to eat something just because somebody says it's good for you. Because, if you eat stuff that's supposedly good for you, but you don't like it, you won't stick with it. And
That's
you'll go
it.
back to eating whatever crap you were eating before. But if you like what you're eating, you're much more likely to stick with it.
That's one of the things about the heart attack diet. The main principle of the heart attack diet was don't eat anything they say is good for you. Eat the stuff that they say is bad for you. The meat, the fat, the real butter, not the margarine. Don't eat the vegetables. They say eat your veggies, don't eat them. So that's all in line with a heart attack diet.
Absolutely. And now we've got A number one meat eater kid is here. Happy birthday, Bob. And he says hello to you too, Rick.
Hello from Rick. Wank.
Sorry, the Indians did not use expensive sardines in cans to fertilize the farms around Plymouth, Massachusetts. I understand. So if you guys have any topics you'd like to cover, feel free to put those over there. You got any big plans for videos coming up here, Rick?
I don't know if we would call it big plans because I'm probably the smallest YouTube channel out there, but I just make videos on things that I see. Lately, it's just been ducks and maybe a few occasional things, cutting up my old station wagon. Pretty soon, I think I'll make a video about taking the engine apart in my truck. And I actually have a lot of finance videos I want to make and also some videos about the carnivore diet versus the vegan diet. I just wish I could get a couple of my vegan friends to join me on my channel, but they're all afraid to. I think vegans, one of their biggest fears is going up on camera, especially if they switch to the carnivore or keto diet, because they think that they're going to be persecuted. So that kind of limits the videos that I could come up with. But for myself, it's just going to be the usual Rick videos. And I'm still trying to figure out how I can get a computer powerful enough where I can edit something that looks semi-professional. But in the meantime, it's just me.
Well, that all sounds great. I have noticed that carnivores are not afraid to share their journey because the carnivore community is very nice. But if you were a vegan and then you cross the vegan community, they descend on you like vultures. And then they're happy to come on camera and talk about their vegan diet. But rather than engaging when you challenge them, they just either block you or ignore you because they refuse to try and defend their position because they know their position is indefensible. I like to refer to, I'm sure most of you have seen it, Dr. Baker did a quick little video where he was showing the top of Dr. Greger's head.
Yeah, I saw
that. And in one of the pictures from a year or two ago, his scalp was clear. Now, at whatever age he is, I know he's a little younger than we are. I think Dr. Greger is probably 55 or so. But he has significant age spots on his head. And Dr. Baker was explaining that these are very commonly caused. He says, now, I don't know the situation here. I can't say for sure this is what it is. But these age spots are commonly caused by vitamin B12 deficiency in the diet. And my thought when I watched that video was, if a guy like Dr. Greger, who is a big vegan influencer
with money,
so he can afford to buy whatever supplements he thinks he needs. If somebody like him can develop age spots from B12 deficiency, what chance does the average person just trying to live a little healthier have if they land on a vegan diet? Yes. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
Well, I have a thought on it. I mean, look at me. I'll be 56 in a month. How many age spots do I have? And you know that I'm poor. I don't have Botox. I don't have any kind of cosmetic surgery. And if you look at my face, it's not that bad. And I
Well,
work outside in the sun almost every day.
and see, that's just it. That's another thing that we can talk about. You work outside in the sun every day. You've been eating a carnivore diet for 40 years. How often do you slather that sunscreen stuff on your skin to keep from getting skin cancer?
Sunscreen? You got to be kidding me. I tried that stuff one time back when I was like, and it was funny. I was about 28, and I tell you, it smelled terrible. And then it got in my eyes. It burned my eyes. And it was just really bad. And then I started itching, and then I got a rash. And I said, forget it. So what I do, if I know I'm going to be outside in the sun, I just give myself an extra lard or tallow treatment. I put so much lard on my hair, I could probably fry heart attack chicken right in the sun. And you see, my hair still has lard in it now. Because a lot of times what will happen is when I work outside, especially on a dry, sunny day, the dust, like when you're digging holes or you're doing clean outs, that dust gets into your hair, and then it kind of like stays in there and it dries it out and it sticks up all over the place. But with the lard in there, it's just fine. But the last time I got sunburned, I believe 15 years old. I think it was before I started the carnivore diet, because we had gone down to Big Pine Key. We spent a couple of days there, and I got a really bad sunburn. I could barely sleep because my back was so sore. That was the last time I ever got a sunburn. And I've been outside the whole time. Now, I don't deliberately go in the sun. I don't go to the beach. I hate the beach. It's horrible. But I do work outside, and a lot of times, I'll try to get in the shade when I can, but I can spend hours in the sun, and I have not been sunburned. And as you said, I mean, I don't use sunscreen. So what's with that?
Yes, and yet they keep, it's more products, more things to sell us that either don't do any good for us or actually affect us in a negative way. Because how many kids now are we seeing with vitamin D deficiency? Because their parents won't let them even look out the window at the sun unless they've been slathered from head to toe in sunblock.
You got that right. I've seen them, especially with the little kids. They put all the white stuff on their nose. That I guess they're trying to make them look like a clown or something. They just cover them with that nasty, and it's got that bad smell to it too. So I'm thinking, what is that? It reminds me something of like that silicone grease that you use on electrical fittings. That's what it smells like. And I'm thinking, now this poor kid, hey, at least they may not get sunburned, but at least they won't get shocked if they put that much silicone grease on them.
Okay, let's jump back into the comments here. Let's see here. We got John Boston. Bob, when I was a kid, my mom used to make us eat spinach and broccoli, and all I wanted was steak. My parents would say, you can't have meat every day. Well, I remember those days. And, the propaganda was even heavy back in the late 60s, early 70s, because what was everybody's favorite cartoon? Popeye. Everybody wanted to eat spinach so that they could be strong like Popeye. I know I ate a lot of spinach hoping it would make me strong, but that didn't work. Didn't work at all.
I wanted to be more like Bluto than Popeye, but that's just me.
Mm-hmm. My local store has sardines on sale, 79 cents. I get them in spring water. That's fantastic. And like I said, I have nothing against sardines. I just personally don't like them. I can choke them down. Craig sent me a box of sardines, and I did eat them all. But I'm certainly not going to go out of my way to acquire sardines. Now,
I would eat them often, but they're too expensive now, so I haven't had them in several weeks.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing, back when I was, because as everybody that's been following me for a while knows that early in my carnivore diet, I ate a lot of Spam. I love Spam. I still have a couple cases of Spam out in the garage, but my supply is slowly going down because Spam has gotten so expensive. Why would I buy a can of Spam when I can buy more than a pound of ground beef for what a can of Spam costs now.
Mm-hmm.
The can of Spam, used to be, if I was hungry, I could cook up 2 cans of Spam, cut it thin, fry it up in the pan, and that would be a good meal for me. But it was those 2 cans of Spam were less than the cost of a pound of ground beef. And now I can get a pound of ground beef for less than the cost of 1 can. So I don't buy Spam. Same thing with, potted meat and Vienna sausages and all of those, what I like to call bronze medal foods.
Mm-hmm.
I used to eat a lot of that stuff, but I don't anymore because it's gotten so darned expensive that I'm just eating basically ground beef and eggs because that's what I can afford, with some chicken thrown in, because I do like chicken, especially if I don't keep enough grease in the house to make it true heart attack style, but I do, put several big spoons of lard in the bottom of my pan, let it melt, and then I have to actually turn the chicken a few times to get it to fry up because
Right.
I don't have a big pot full of lard to dunk the chicken in, like some people I could mention.
Well,
That
some
guy
people
over
buy
there.
50. Some people buy 50-pound blocks of lard, so you know how that goes.
I understand. And there's Craig talking to. I switched over to Chips Ahoy for my statin. No messy cream filling to throw off my lipid canal. That's a good one, Craig. Let's see here. DC Learning to Live has stopped by. Hello, DC. Glad you're here.
Yes.
And Tall Cedars is here. Let's see what John has to say here. Rick, I am the same age and I have some gray hair coming in now. I blame my kids for the gray hair. I can totally relate to that, John. I don't have any kids of my own, but I have lots of friends who did have kids at one point. They're, of course, people my age, their kids are grown and gone out of the house and all of that stuff. Heck, most of my friends' kids are married and having kids of their own now, but I understand the gray hairs from the kids. Rick, how many gallons? You just answered. How many gallons of lard do you buy a month? What's your source and what brand do you buy?
Well, it depends. Normally, I try to get all the fat I need from meat scraps. So I'll go to the Presidente supermarket or the Winn-Dixie or whoever has some fat scraps that they'll give me or sell me cheap. I'll throw them in a crock pot and then render the lard or tallow out of it. Now, if I have to buy lard, I'll usually go to Gordon Foods, and they sell it in a box, in a plastic bag. It comes in 50-pound blocks, and it was about $50, so it's like $1 a pound. So, and that'll last me, if I have to use that, only about 6 months. So I can go through 100 pounds of lard in a year and probably 50 pounds of tallow. I go through an awful lot of fat.
I hope that answers your question, Craig. Hello, where's Robin? I do not know, Dr. Nelson. I sent her the email with the link, and my guess is that she's gotten busy and forgotten, or gotten busy and just didn't have time to be here today. Or maybe she'll pop in a little later. We'll see what happens. We are doing 2 hours today.
Maybe the ducks pushed her truck into the canal.
Maybe the ducks pushed her truck into the canal. Yes, indeed. And she's currently trying to get out of the canal. And I know Dave Mack will be here. It just depends on what time he gets up. He was thinking maybe for the last hour, but maybe not until the last half hour. It just depends on, because it's very early in the morning in Japan right now. So I completely understand. And I told him, don't worry about it. Just whenever you show up, you show up. We'll have fun.
Isn't it ironic that I was the first interview he ever did in the carnivore diet?
That is. And I mean, I first found you because Professor K got you on and talked to you.
That's been almost a couple of years.
Yeah, it was very early in my carnivore journey. And then it wasn't a whole lot later than that. I think it was about a month or two after you were on with Professor K that I contacted you, and we had our first interview together.
That's right. Yeah, I think Varkey was my second interview. The first one was Joey, the carnivore camaraderie, then Varkey, and then I had Scott, and I had like a bunch of interviews at once. It seems like once that first video got popular, it just knocked one after the other. Then when I hit Dr. Chafee contacting me, then that's when it really started to ramp up.
Yeah, and you know, I have reached out to Dr. Chafee several times trying to get him to come on my channel, and I can't even get him to acknowledge an email. So I don't know what the deal is, but that's okay. Yeah, tall cedars. When I think of all the money wasted on creams, sunscreen, hair products, soaps, it makes me mad. Yes, indeed. I completely understand. So what do you use for soap, Rick? I know I still buy bar soap. I know it's not great for me, but I've been using Irish Spring since I was a kid, so that's still what I buy, and it's still dirt cheap to buy a whole case of it.
Well, I make my own soap. In fact, I had it over here somewhere. See if I can get it. Oh, let me see here.
Okay, well, Rick goes and looks for that. Everybody else, if you have some kind of natural soap or skincare thing that you make, go ahead and let us know about it. And now Rick is back, so go ahead and tell us about that, Rick.
Yeah, this, as you can see, it's a homemade soap. I make it in one of those little plastic bowls. You know, that's what gives it the shape. But it's basically just tallow or lard mixed with either sodium hydroxide that I make from salt, or I use washing soda, or both. And in this case, I actually added some plant material because I made some for a friend of mine who also likes Irish Spring. So I used various mints, coconut, and some citrus to get. It's actually, he said it smelled almost the same as Irish Spring, although to me it just smells like, you know, washing soda and lye and a little bit of essential oils from the yard. But this is homemade. Now, it doesn't lather like commercial soap, but it'll clean you up just fine. And if you want to make hand soap, you just mix it with sand, and then it gives it that sandpaper texture to get all the grease out of the cracks in your fingers.
There is a very good video suggestion for you, Rick.
I actually
Because I
made a
know-
soap video, yeah.
Did you make a? Do you have a soap video out there showing people how to make their own soap?
I made the video, but then the stupid phone crashed, and I don't think I was ever able to upload it. And I made another one, and I don't know, I lost it. I have a lot of technical issues at times, and one of my friends gave me a GoPro camera, and that works pretty good, but it overheats sometimes, and then sometimes the video gets deleted. But I did have a video. I don't think it was ever uploaded, though.
Yes, GoPros are known for that, especially some of the older models. If you limit your recording to 15 minutes on a GoPro, it shouldn't overheat on you. It's when you go beyond the 15-minute mark that
Yeah.
you need to stop recording, shut it down, let it cool completely off, and then start again. The newer ones will go forever, but neither you nor I can afford to rush right out and buy a brand new GoPro because they are expensive. But yeah, I don't know about everybody else, but I would certainly be interested in watching a make your own soap video.
Mm-hmm.
Pluto looks better than Popeye for sure.
Yep.
We used to go to the local meat markets, and kale was used in the display case for meat. Now these weirdos juice kale. I understand.
Garbage juice.
It's, back before I was carnivore, back when, right after my heart surgery, I decided, I was going to try and eat some healthier. And I made, I bought a little kale to put in one of the salads that I was making. And I don't see how people eat that crap.
Ugh, nasty.
I took one bite of it and threw it away. I mean,
Did you ever see the parody video I made with my dad's old juicer?
Yes.
That's what I was thinking of with a kale. That's nasty.
Yeah, and the one video that I had that the footage didn't come out on that I wish I had, and I'd like to find a place to make it again. A friend of mine's brother works at a commercial pig farm. And I went out there, and like I said, the footage just didn't come out, but I went out there, I had my cutting board and a knife and some kale with me. And I said, folks, we're going to show you the proper way to prepare kale today. and I zoomed in on the cutting board and I chopped it one way. Then I turned to the cutting board and I chopped it another and said,
Gave it to the pigs.
now when you make it, when you've got all this kale in nice fine pieces, and then I picked it up and tossed it over the fence to the pigs. I said, and that, folks, is the correct way to make kale. But the footage didn't come out, and I was so disappointed because I think that would have been a great video. But
you know what I used to do when I was a kid, I'd feed vegetables to the cows. And one of the things they'd have is, like you said, they had kale. A lot of times at the grocery store, they use it as part of the display. I remember at Grand Union, because I used to get stuff from the trash over there. And one time they had a bunch of those kale leaves. And I just took them over to the cow pasture down the street, gave it, and you could feed them to the cows and they just take it out of your hand and gently chew it up. I used to laugh. You know, I told a friend about it. I said, that's how you eat your veggies. You let the cow eat it first.
Absolutely. I saw a meme about that. It's like, I am a second-hand vegan. My food eats vegetables.
Although I have to admit, I have vegetables in my kitchen right now. I have cabbage on my countertop, you know, and why would that be? Well, because I'm making sauerkraut for my friends.
Okay, it's expensive to shrink the sardines and get them into the tiny cans. In Popeye cartoons, Wimpy is more of a carnivore. He just needs to ditch the buns. Oh, yes, mister, I will gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. Jeannie has arrived. Hi, Jeannie. I'm glad you made it today. And that guy, hey, it's me. We're glad you made it too. Thanks for stopping by. Yes, it's 5 a.m. now in Japan, so Rick is probably waking up and putting his hat on any time now, but 5 a.m. is a little early for him. We usually start our live streams at about somewhere between 4 and 4:30, so he's usually, I'm guessing he'll be here by 6 anyway, his time. And Lori Macy, happy birthday, Bob, from Lori and Rusty in Louisville, Kentucky. I got some cousins in Louisville, Kentucky. Well, just one. Most of my cousins are either in Ohio or North Carolina. But my cousin Becky, way back in the day, got a cheerleading scholarship to the university there in Louisville. And she met her husband, and she's just never left Louisville.
Oh, well, that quit working.
Yeah, see, Tina's saying, yes, I would love the soap recipe. Wicked Stitches, hi, Bob and Rick. Good afternoon, everyone. Glad you could make it. Thanks for stopping by. Looking to get dairy sheep. That would be fun. Maybe steers in about 2 years. And, you know, like I said, after either chickens or rabbits, I'm still trying to decide if it all depends on the situation with how well I can grow things for them to eat on my desert property. But I would like to have either a small herd of sheep or a small herd of goats, both of which will eat just about anything that grows, and both make very, very tasty ruminant meat from my freezer. Kathy's here. Hi, Kathy. Glad you made it. Thanks for stopping by. Financial Prepper says hello. Hello,
Hello,
Mr.
Chris.
Prepper. Glad you could make it.
Yeah, he's got a great channel.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, very knowledgeable.
I'll have to check him out.
Welding especially.
Let's see here. Is that a type machine?
My keyboard quit working. I was trying to type comments, but it seems to have died. I don't know what's wrong with it. It's from the dump, so you never know.
Yeah, and I have so many, because I'm one of these people, I don't throw anything away. I keep meaning to try and fix them, but I just keep, because now this keyboard I've had for quite some time, but I keep meaning to fix them. But for the longest time, you can go onto Amazon and get just a basic plug-it-in keyboard for like $15. So I have a whole stack of keyboards in one of my spare rooms here in the house that's basically, oh, the Y key quit working on this keyboard, the space key quit working on that keyboard, the enter key quit working on that keyboard. So they all have like one key that doesn't work. And I've got, 8 or 10 keyboards in there that have one key that just doesn't work.
Ugh.
Someday I'll probably get around to throwing them out, but I won't.
I think the problem is in the USB cable. I'm here trying the extension, I think, went bad or something. I don't know what's going on. Everything is old, you know.
Just like us, Rick.
Well, that's true, but you know what? I may be old, but I still perform like a 25-year-old.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd be willing to say I perform like a 25-year-old, but I can say now that I'm doing things today that I couldn't do when I was 40. So,
see? That's great.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have been having a very good birthday. Thank you. And let's see here. Weezy is here.
It's working now. What do you know?
Awesome. And
that's interesting.
Ellie says getting British milking sheep. That sounds interesting. Interesting indeed.
There we go. I fixed it.
Excellent.
Okay, that's good.
So, now it's time to figure out what we're going to talk about next. We've got 37 people watching. If you're sitting here watching and you have not hit the like button yet, feel free to hit the like button. Everybody interacting with the live stream does help us get more people in so that maybe we can get some more questions in. So you said you have to actually pull the engine out of your truck to get to the thing that's broken?
Yeah, what it is, I have low compression. I mean, diesel's supposed to have like 300 PSI per cylinder, and I have one cylinder as low as 90. So I don't know if the valves are burned up or clogged with carbon or what's going on. Plus, the thing smokes like a crop duster. So the rings are probably broken or shot or who knows what. With my luck, there may be a hole in the piston. So what I'm going to do, once I get the rest of the stuff cleaned up that I've been doing. Now, I've been working a lot, so I haven't had a lot of time to really get out there and attack the truck. But I started up on Earth Day, and I forgot to upload the video. So I uploaded the video earlier today because I made another video, of my truck sitting for a couple of weeks. Because when I got the flu, I kind of got distracted. But you know me, I always like to celebrate Earth Day in my favorite way possible. So you can imagine somebody that has old cars and is sort of contrarian. What do you think I would do for Earth Day?
I'm guessing you fired up that crop dusting, mosquito smoking truck and drove it in an Earth Day parade.
Pretty much. The whole neighborhood was so smoked out, I was afraid they'd call the fire department.
That's a little on the smoky side, but that's also very funny and sounds like something I would do as well. Because I'm sorry, I don't like to get political on this channel, but I get irritated when people fly halfway around the world in their private jet to have a meeting about how to make me stop driving my car. And did you see there was a ridiculous thing, and it's been floating around as a meme for a couple of weeks now, too. Bill Gates made a ridiculous statement about how cows are more harmful to our environment than cars are. And somebody came up with the brilliant idea, and they said, okay, Bill, I tell you what, I'll lock myself in my garage with a cow overnight. You lock yourself in your garage with a running car overnight, and let's meet outside and discuss the results in the morning.
There you go. I saw that too. I think, who was it that was saying that? It might have been Dr. Chafee or one of the channels. They said that. I thought that was pretty funny.
It is. It's, and that goes back to what we were talking about earlier, how most of these idiots will not engage. If you were to confront Bill Gates with something like that, he wouldn't pay any attention to you. He'd ignore you. He'd have his security guards escort you away. He would not confront the question. And that's
I've had that problem even with people I know. In fact, one of my vegan friends, we got into a bit of a discussion. We were talking about forests and grasslands, and I tried to explain to him without cattle or other ruminant animals, there would be no grasslands. It would either be desert or forest. You can't have grasslands because what's going to keep the grass mowed? And I told him, I said, look, you have a lawn. I don't have a lawn. I gave up the lawn years ago because it's bad for the environment, in my opinion. The amount of energy it takes to produce a lawn, plus all the chemicals you have to pour on it to make it look good. And plus, here in Florida, we have a water table that's all connected. So all that fertilizer and all those pesticides and everything, when it rains, you know that stuff's running off and you know where it's going to go. But on the other hand, if you had a cow pasture, what fertilizer are you putting in a cow pasture? You're not putting any. The cow is eating the grass, and when the grass is mowed, it regrows because grass is one of those plants that can't exist without constantly being mowed. Because what happens if you don't cut your grass? Well, it just grows into a bunch of weeds. Eventually, it turns into bushes, and if you leave it long enough, it turns into a tree. Look at any empty lot. Of course, we don't have empty lots anymore. But when we did, if a house was abandoned and they let it sit for 10 years, the lawn would be gone. It'd be nothing but trees and shrubs. But when you have grazing animals, like in a pasture, they graze down the grass, they compost it. So not only are you cutting the grass, but instead of putting it in the landfill, you're composting it right on the spot. And the whole thing is powered by the sun. So you have a solar-powered composting system that also acts as pest control, and it helps prevent brush fires. Because when cattle eat grass, they keep it low, and even if it dries out, it can't really burn that hot. So there's just so many things that are going on with those ruminant animals. You take them away, and then what? And then the other problem is, okay, let's say you have a field full of ruminant animals. What are they going to do? They're going to eat, they're going to mate, they're going to reproduce. Eventually, there's going to be so many of them out there, there won't be enough grass to eat. And then what happens? Well, they're going to starve to death, and most of them will die. So we got into a bit of a discussion. He said, well, because he's saying, well, there's nothing wrong with the ruminant animals, but we don't eat them. I said, what about the lions and tigers and predators? Well, that's natural. I said, okay, well, would you rather have a cow shot and cut up into steaks or ripped apart alive by some cougar? What is better for the animal? And that's when the whole thing broke down. The reason stopped. I don't want to talk about it. You're extreme. You're going to get a heart attack, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, whatever. And I hear this all the time. Oh, you look unhealthy. I said, I look unhealthy? What about you? This is a guy that's got like all gray hair and got a lot of wrinkles too. His face is all kind of, it's like it's drooping down. You know what I mean? He's got those little folds on his ears that are supposed to mean that you have heart disease. And I said, you and I are almost the same age, and look at us. Oh, but I look better than you. I said, really? Okay, well, whatever. And of course, the vegans will agree. Well, Rick, he doesn't look healthy. But on the other hand, who's the one that can move things back and forth all day, can go outside, do whatever? I can push my truck down the street. This guy can barely change a tire. When a tire went flat on his car, he called the roadside service. I said, you could have that spare on there faster than you can call the roadside service. You wouldn't have it. So, and you know what I did? I just walked back. I figured by the time they serviced the car, and I drove back with my old truck, he was still waiting for the roadside service, and I was getting a big laugh out of it. So when I went down the road, I left him in a big old cloud of smoke. He didn't seem too happy, but this is what I go through. You're talking about these elitists. People that I know are the same way. I've had people mad at me. They went and bought a Toyota Prius because it's good for the environment. They're mad at me because I drive a diesel truck. Why do you have a diesel truck? Well, because I work. I have to move things around. I can't do my job with a Prius. You think I can tow a Bobcat with a Prius? Not happening. Then when it comes down to it, I show them I use less fuel than you do. I'm burning used seed oils. My old truck used to run on wood. I burn less fossil fuels than anybody else I know. And I don't travel, I don't fly. So when it comes down to it, my so-called carbon footprint is the lowest of anybody else. And my yard has more compost than you could ever imagine. So not only am I using less energy, I'm also pulling carbon out of the air. So when you deal with some of these people that are self-righteous, they don't like the facts because it proves them wrong, as you know.
Yeah, and I mean, we didn't even get into the fact of the first thing you do when confronted with somebody with a Prius or even an all electric vehicle is pull out pictures of lithium leach fields from lithium mines and say, this is what your batteries are doing to this planet.
Mm-hmm. And you know, the other thing too, look at how old my vehicles are. I don't have a car from the 21st century. Everything I have is from like 1969 to 1998. That's really old. How many of these electric cars, these EVs, are going to be good in 20 or 30 years? None of them. You're going to have to replace the batteries. And like you said, the mining process for lithium is extreme. And even recycling those batteries is a real mess because by the time they've degraded, you have these oxides and you have these compounds. They have to basically be re-refined, which is a process that uses a lot of toxic chemicals and even mercury in some cases, depending on how you do it. So it's a real nightmare. But I could rebuild my engine in my truck. I'll spend a few $100s or whatever, put some more seed oils in it and go right down the road. I've already rebuilt my transmission and replaced parts. You know, and really, what's the big deal? You know, if you burn diesel, all you're doing is putting out carbon compounds. You know, when you have those batteries, and the other thing is what happens if that car shorts out or gets water in the battery? Then you have a fire, and that turns into a complete disaster. So, yeah, but they don't think about that.
Yes, I'm going to jump into the comments here real quick because John stopped by to say hello. I don't know if he's still here because that comment's been up there for a while, but he was just passing through to say hello and wish me a happy birthday. I give my 6-month-old rib and drumstick bones for teething, perfect size for teething.
That's good.
Oh, okay. And we got a question for Rick here. How often do people confuse you with the younger version of the Fonz?
That's a good question. I don't know. Maybe I'm greasy enough. It's hard to say. But I have people that thought that I was under 40. I've had them tell me because they see me eating the food. They said, wait till you hit 40. It's all going to go downhill from there. I said, okay, I'll let you know when I hit 60. You know, they're like, what do you mean 60? Well, I'll be 60 in about 4 years. And what? They're in total shock. But I have in the past, when I was in high school, they used to call me actually Richie Cunningham from Happy Days because that's when I switched to the lard approved hairdo. And boy, did I pour on the lard, just like I do now.
Yep. And I'm sure most of the people watching are old enough to remember Happy Days and the Fonz and Richie Cunningham. But some of them maybe not. And John has arrived. Hello, John. I just remembered there was an extra hour day live, so I jumped on here. We're glad you made it, John. I'm not even going to attempt it. Just say, hey, Rick, hello from upstate New York. Have you heard Sammy Tagano? She's a Japanese woman who was diagnosed with stage 4 colorectal cancer 5 years, then decided to stop chemotherapy and went full carnivore. I have not heard of this particular person, but I do know of many people that had cancer of one form or another. They chose not to go the chemotherapy route. They went to a carnivore diet, or as they called it, a zero sugar diet, because sugar is what cancers like to eat. They went to a zero sugar diet. And there are many, many stories of people stopping their chemotherapy, having been given 3 to 6 months to live. And here they are 5, 6, 7 years later. What are your thoughts on all that, Rick?
Well, I'm not familiar with this person. I'll have to do a little research, but there are several people. I mean, we know of like DC David, you know, he had his blood cancer and, you know, and he was always fit and tried to follow their dietary advice and still got cancer. There's somebody else. Who was the one that also had cancer? I'm trying to remember, that was on Carrie's channel. He's always talking about him. What is his name? Jeff Prosperous or whatever his name is. He's been fighting cancer with a carnivore diet. And again, that was the one thing I was always afraid of. That's one of the reasons I attempted, and I mean attempted, the plant-based diet, because they had me convinced I was going to get colon cancer. But after suffering on the plant-based diet, I said, you know what? I'd rather get colon cancer than live this way with constant diarrhea, gas, pain, all this other nastiness. But yeah, I have to look into that, because I was thinking of even someone should make a database of all the people that have used the carnivore diet to reverse chronic health conditions. I mean, there's been obviously obesity, arthritis, heart disease, cancer. Um, what else? I mean, you name it, and they're using it. And of course, the vegans, they always counteract with the people that quit the carnivore diet and this other nonsense. But really, when it comes down to it, every single one of those people that so-called quit the carnivore diet, they didn't quit the carnivore diet. They just added plant material to their carnivore diet. I mean, even that wacko, what's his name, Mr. Fruitcake, Paul Saladino, technically he's still on a meat-based diet, even though he's eating disgusting honey with his fruit. But still, they didn't go to the vegan diet. I have yet to see one carnivore, person that's been carnivore for a while who went to the vegan diet. If I see that, then I'll definitely have to take a second look, because I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, I don't either. And there was a big discussion. I mentioned it on my channel a couple of days ago and got a little pushback, but I pushed right back again, because if you ask Professor K, and I'm not saying he's the ultimate authority on everything, but Professor K is very smart. And he has told us that the actual definition of a carnivore diet is 70% or more animal-based products. And everybody's saying, no, that's meat-based. To be carnivore, you got to be 100%. No, that's just not true.
I've been saying that for years. 70% or more of meat is carnivore. Every video I've been on, I've said that. So yeah, I agree. But the thing is, like you said, you don't see these people that have been on the carnivore diet for 5 years or more. They don't go to the vegan diet. I mean, yes, I went to a vegan diet after 10 years carnivore. But again, I was still, 20s, I was what, 25. I was still a young guy, and I didn't know. There was no internet. I mean, what internet was there in 1993? I didn't know anybody else that ate this way. I was the oddball. And it really came down to my philosophy. You try to prove somebody wrong by doing what they say and see what happens. And I'd heard it over and over, especially from my parents. My dad was extremely health conscious. He did not like to eat red meat. He thought red meat was bad. Now, he liked sardines, so, I can give him that. And he used to give me cod liver oil when I was a kid, which I always liked. And he did like salmon. If we went to the Chinese buffet, he'd eat the salmon, but I wouldn't eat that, because I said, well, salmon are predators. I really don't want to eat predator fish. I would rather eat herbivore fish that eat algae, or fish that eat plants. It's like tuna. I'm not a big fan of tuna because they're predator fish. One of the reasons I prefer iguana over alligator is because alligator is a predator, and they tend to concentrate heavy metals. Plus, alligators live a long time. Iguanas don't live quite as long, and they eat basically plants and a few insects. So it kind of it would go against for me to eat predator meat. But this is the thing that I've seen over and over again. People tell you these things, and you can argue with them. But I said, hey, I'll just prove you right or wrong. And look, if it worked, I would still be on the plant-based diet. And if the mixed diet worked for me, I'd be on the mixed diet, but it doesn't. Every time that I've tried to add fruit to my diet, it doesn't seem to help at all. It's just not something that works for me. I feel better when I eat a meat-based diet. I like to eat at least 70% meat, usually 90% meat, and the rest of it's going to be dairy. Well, I mean, of course, eggs, maybe 80% meat, the rest of it's eggs and dairy. I do believe strongly in my fermented yogurt. That works really well for me. Not everybody can eat that. But, and you have, what's his name, Sean O'Mara, that always talks about fermented foods. So there may be something to it. I don't know. Everybody that I know that lived to old age in their 90s and up, they ate mostly meat, and they tended to eat fermented foods. Some of them ate sauerkraut. Some of them ate yogurt, But I don't know anybody that was plant-based that lived into their 90s that was still active. The only person I know that was vegetarian. I mean, that's not, well, I mean, it's plant-based, but they still eat eggs and some dairy. That's not vegan. I've never met a vegan that lived over 70 something. So I don't know. The jury's still out on that one.
Yeah, and well, we haven't had a lot of time for vegans to age yet because the vegan diet just wasn't possible before 1972 because that's when they first managed to synthesize vitamin B12. Now, how bioavailable it is, I'm very skeptical of that, but just, there hasn't been an opportunity for some of them to get old. But if you look at all of these vegan influencers online, they just don't look healthy. That one crazy nut job, what's his name? Mike, the vegan, whatever.
Michelle the vegan.
Yeah. I mean, he sits there and rails against everybody all the time, yet every video of his that I see somebody looking at, the guy looks like a ghost. He's so gaunt and pale.
I know people that think that he looks healthy. They think that he looks healthier than me.
Those people are stoned.
I said, the guy isn't even 40. Look at him. He's got so much gray hair, he has to color his beard. It's ridiculous.
John has arrived. Happy birthday, Bob. I want to be like you when I grow up. Aren't you older than I am, John? I don't remember, but I think you're actually a little older than I am, but I could be wrong. But thanks. And Dustin was here. I don't know if he's still here because I saw his comments come in a while ago, but just dropping in to say hello. Happy Friday. I hope Dustin's having a great day. Happy birthday from Albany, New York. Hello, Cordelia. I'm glad you're here. And Craig says happy birthday and anniversary to my friend Buff Bob. Hope has arrived. Jeff DeProsperous.
Yeah, that's the one.
And says, Dan, we'll have to look into them. Always interesting to find new breeds. Yes, Jeff DeProsperous. Mr. Fruitcake. Yep. And, I don't have anything against that man personally. The problem is that I think he's giving a lot of people very poor advice because most people that go to YouTube to try and find answers to their health problems are not surfing 3 hours a day. They're very similar to how I was, maybe not as bad, but most people that are looking for help on the internet are having some kind of a problem. And if you're young and healthy or maybe not so young, but still relatively healthy, but surfing 3 hours a day, you can probably get away with eating some fruit and some honey. But somebody like me, if 2 years ago, rather than following the Dr. Berry method, I decided to follow Paul Saladino and he was going to be my guru. If 2 years ago I had started eating mostly meat, but all of the fruit and honey that he does, I firmly believe that I would be dead today. And I think it's just very dangerous advice to be giving to the masses out there because he never qualifies his videos by saying, this is what I do, but I surf 3 hours a day. Please keep that in mind. He tries to convince you that fruit and honey are healthy for everyone. And people that are suffering from multiple autoimmune diseases, inflammatory diseases, type 2 diabetes, any of those things, all that fruit and honey is going to speed them on their way to the grave.
Mm-hmm. That's right. There's a difference between somebody who's in good shape to start and someone who's basically circling the drain. And all you're doing is just pouring more water on them when they're circling the drain. I think for someone who's seriously ill, sharp, change in their diet is necessary. I mean, you can't ease into the carnivore diet if you're basically, you're one heart attack away or whatever from just dropping dead, you're going to have to make a drastic change. And I noticed, now I don't understand the concept of it, but I noticed that some people are very addicted to eating things like duck food. So they eat all this crap, and to them, it's a temptation. When I went to the store today looking for some meat. I look around at all the duck food and I laugh. I take pictures of it. I make videos now and then to show the ingredients list. But then I see other people piling it in their cart. And I think to myself, wow. And you see the advertisements for hot Cheetos and Doritos and all this garbage. It doesn't even look like food. It looks like something you plaster your wall with. But still, people line up to eat it. So it's like you're telling them they can have fruit and honey. What's the difference between that and having a soda or maybe having some kind of baked goods or something like that? They may, it's sweet. What's the difference? Next thing you know, they're just eating duck food and they're waddling around. And then one day they just are their legs up. So that's just terrible. They have to. The thing is that people don't have the discipline. I think a lot of times they just make decisions based on how they feel. If it tastes good to them or if it feels good to them, then they go with it. And then when things go wrong, they go, well, I'll go to the doctor and they'll find a solution for it. It's like the person that drives their car without water and without oil until it blows up. Then you have the other person, they start their engine, they hear tick, 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 and they shut it off. They pull the dipstick out. Oh, I'm low on oil. And they'll fill it up with oil and then keep on going. And believe me, I know that pretty well. Or the thing's overheating, and instead of stopping to put water in it, they just keep driving it until it locks up. And I think a lot of people treat their body like that. But unlike a car, you can't really get spare parts for your body. You have to kind of work with it so it can fix the parts that are already there. So if you're going to watch Paul Saladino's video and you're going to be there loading up the fruit and honey, like you said, I just don't see how that could end well.
Yes. And Scooby the dog is here. Hi, semi-retired Bob, Rick, and chat friends. Sorry I'm here late. Well, thanks for stopping by. I'm glad you got here. And we still have just under an hour to go, and hopefully Dave will be joining us here sometime soon. We'll see. But we've been having a pretty good time so far. It's hard to believe over an hour has gone by already. It seems like we just got started.
Well, that's what happens when you have a quack on your show.
Mm-hmm. And ducks are bug predators.
Mm-hmm.
Katie, happy birthday, Bob. Good to see you, Rick. Glad to see you here, Katie. Glad you can make it. DC Learning to Live checking in. They are all nut jobs, but they get pushed by YouTube because they are pushing the narrative. Yes, absolutely. I agree. Scooby the dog says, I do know of two vegans. One lived 96, one is 100 now. Maybe there are exceptions, but I agree. It's not the norm. And the younger ones look unhealthy. It's hard to say. Well, you've all been waiting. Everybody give a big round of applause as Dave Mack from Japan joins us. Good morning, Dave. Glad you could make it. Say hello to everybody.
Hey, guys. How you doing, guys? Good to be here. Bob, happy birthday.
Thank you. I
want to say sorry I'm late. I've been busy cooking a sardine birthday cake for you.
Thank you.
The kitchen's a bit whiffy, but
all the cats are lining up.
Yes. We were actually just talking about Mr. Saladino and how we think how bad his advice is, and that it's not that it's bad advice for people that are young or healthy or surf 3 hours a day, but it's very poor advice for the average YouTube user that's just looking to get a little healthier. Before we go on to the next topic, is there anything you would like to add to that discussion?
No, I would agree with that 100%. Yeah, it's just not the average person can do that. I would be it would be awful for me. Yeah. So I can't really add anything to that. No.
Okay, and John says he'll be 59 this July. So this is in reference to, I asked him if he was older than me or not, because a while ago he said that he wants to be me when he grows up. And saying happy birthday. And Scooby the dog says, I think with fruits and veggies so toxic with pesticides and chemicals is more dangerous to be vegan now than ever. Yeah, and see, that's the other thing. There might be some vegans that are in their mid 90s and beyond, but think about what food sourcing was like back then. You didn't have, avocados from halfway around the world arriving in your grocery store so loaded down with chemicals that they can still be eaten. Most of the people that were doing primarily vegetarian and vegan diets 60 or 70 years ago, they basically had to grow their own or go to the local market to get it, and it was all locally sourced. I mean, I even remember, you could tell what season it was by walking into the grocery store, because sometimes there would be apples to buy, sometimes there would be oranges to buy, but you never got apples and oranges at the same time because they don't have the same growing season.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Let's see here. Scooby the dog is saying hi to people.
All right, I got this up on my channel as well now. Okay.
Oh,
cool.
All right. Glad you made it. And we've got, Scooby the dog was asking whose birthday is it? It's mine. Yes, it is my birthday. I am 61
is today the
years old
actual
today.
day?
Yeah, today's the actual day. I was born on May the 10th in 1963. Okay. Let's see here. Thanks, Rick. Let me get down here. People saying hello.
There we go.
Well, I think consumers of YouTube or any information have to use discernment and think of themselves. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He has the right to say what he wants. There are far worse giving health advice on. Yeah, and I agree with that. There are worse, but just given where he came from, because he wrote a book called, what was it? The Carnivore Diet?
Code.
The Carnivore Code. So he got a big following doing just carnivore the way I believe it should be done. But then he runs into problems. He adds fruits and honey into his diet. And now all of those people that had started to get healthier by following him are now following him into the realm of fruit and honey. And I think that's a bad thing. I agree, everybody needs to do their own research and decide who they're going to listen to. But, if Dr. Berry changed course and started saying, hey, guys, I've found out some new stuff, and I think you should, stand on your head and eat one handful of Cheerios every day, I would probably try it for a few weeks just to see if it works, because Dr. Berry suggested it. So many others use the clickbait doctor title to push their BS when they are not qualified to speak on subjects they are speaking on. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think the being able to put doctor in your channel title or in the name of your channel instantly adds a lot more exposure on YouTube, because this person's a doctor. They obviously know what they're talking about. I mean, look at it. I mean, if you look at this idiot that's been getting a lot of heat lately from Professor K and a few others, Dr. Allo is his name, I believe. He has a pretty good sized following because he has doctor in his name. His channel is bigger than Professor K's. Yet Professor K because he does not have doctor in his name or in his title, even though I know he probably has at least one PhD that I know of, and he would have the right to put doctor in his title, he does not, and therefore he's looked on by YouTube's algorithm differently, even though his information is good, and the guy with doctor in his name, his information is not good.
Mm.
Either of you guys have any thoughts on that? Let's start with Dave since he's the newcomer.
So yeah, I think that if you're not, I'm coming in a little bit late in the conversation, but like just to say, if you're not actually a doctor, then or you're not a doctor of that particular kind of area, then you shouldn't be using doctor. Because I noticed it myself. Like if I actually interview a doctor, like Malcolm Kendrick, for example, and you can say doctor in your title of your video, then it's going to get a lot more exposure because people are going to go, okay, well, I can trust this information more. So I think, yeah, it's not great.
How about you, Rick? You have any thoughts on this subject?
That's a good question. I was looking online to see what I could see, but now my keyboard stopped working. What is this? Oh, it's got a loose connection. That's what it is. No, the thing is that a lot of people, they just, like you said, they go by credentials. If you happen to have PhD or doctor or something like that, you're always going to get more attention. That would be like if I gave somebody advice, they'd go, well, you're just a quack. I mean, what do you know? If I try to give somebody diet advice, I don't even bother because they're not going to listen to me. I couldn't even get my own parents to listen to me, and I was just telling them, look, I eat this way and I feel great. Oh, no, it's bad. It's bad. But they look at was it Dr. McCullough or there were several doctors back then. The one that they didn't pay attention to was Dr. Atkins because that was a bad guy. That was the one that was going to die of a heart attack. But then there was a couple of others. Then they had that goofy macrobiotic diet. But anytime you had a book that had the name with title doctor, that always seemed to be, instant respect. But everybody else, who cares?
Okay, I'm going to jump back into the comments here in a minute, and then I'm going to come to you, Dave, and ask you what topic you want to talk about today when we get down through the comments here, so you can be thinking about that, because I put Rick on the spot early in the show, but now since you're new here, you get to pick a topic.
Okay.
A local barbecue place has T-shirts that say, "I didn't claw my way to the top of the food chain to eat vegetables." Yes, indeed. I consider myself pretty smart and savvy, and I was taken in by a vegan doc because I was desperate. Luckily, I only lasted a couple of months. It's always entertaining to hear Rick talk. Yes, it is. I enjoy my conversations with Rick. I mean, he's an entertaining guy.
Why, thank you.
And people saying hello to Dave, and people saying happy birthday to me. That's an interesting question. Did Dave Mack ever try a vegan lifestyle?
Good question. And no, never. I've, throughout my life, I've always had a feeling like, vegetables are better for you, and I should be eating more vegetables and that kind of thing. But I've never got to the point where I thought I should be vegan. I've always had this feeling that I can never stop eating meat, never give up meat.
Excellent. Let's see here. When everyone thinks of Saladino Bartke, for many reasons, it's just as bad, uses his insulting and bashing of him to get views. But yeah, well. There, hey Dave, how did you find Carnival? The question you always ask everybody,
right?
And we will hold that question for a full video at some point, because I know your story. I've heard your story, but we only have about 40 minutes left in the live stream, and I want to get to some other questions and topics as well. But I hope you were trying to be cute with that question because that is a good one. Kathy says, hey guys, Kathy here from sunny SoCal.
Hey, Kathy.
And Rick says, I mentioned the Cerule products looked suspect, but who really knows? Well, all I can tell you is my personal experience with the Cerule products. I'm not going to take time with it today because that's not what today's live stream is about. But I can tell you I've had very good results with them. Factory processed powders full of chemicals. Well, the reality is that there aren't really chemicals in the Cerule products. They are made with a cyanobacter that is harvested from Klamath Lake in Oregon. It's the only place in the world that this stuff grows. And that is the main ingredient. Marilyn says, happy birthday, Bob. Hey, Marilyn, I'm glad you made it. Jay is here. Hello, Jay. Oh, look who's in the house. Carnivore Hippie. Hey, Carnivore Hippie, I'm glad you made it.
Hey.
And Lynn Tucker Carnivore. Happy birthday, Bob, from Dr. Lynn Tucker Carnivore. Anna is here. Hello, Anna.
Hey.
Yeah, I almost bought the Cerule hype. Well, it's actually not
William.
hype. If you go to the Cerule website, under one of the tabs, you will find the science. And the science that is available was all done by people trying to prove that Cerule was a scam. And all they found in their research was that the Cerule products do exactly what they say they will do. Hi, fellow meathead here from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Hello, Nan. Glad you made it.
Hey, Nan.
Happy birthday,
hey.
Bob.
Hey, Cassandra.
Yeah, we're getting some new people in, obviously followers from Dave's channel, because as soon as Dave joined us, we spiked up another 35 or 40 viewers. Because
that's a good thing.
Let's face it, Dave Mack is a celebrity, and we're just the plebes of the carnivore world.
And the quack.
The quack.
I'm a quack. I admit it.
Mm-hmm. So have you come up with something you'd like to talk about today, Dave?
Well, how about what is the most challenging thing you've experienced once you got fat adapted? What's the most challenging thing you've experienced on carnivore?
Wow, that's a really good question. I don't really know that I've had something that I would call most challenging. Of course, early, while I was fat adapting, I've mentioned this many times, the most challenging thing I had was, shall we say, bathroom issues that were sudden and explosive. But since that has passed, I guess the biggest challenge I've had still is my craving for pizza.
Ew.
I know, Rick. Stop it. But, I was always a big pizza eater. I like pizza. And as I was driving truck over the road for 25 plus years, I knew which towns had the best pizzas that I like. But yeah, I know you're shaking your head there, Rick. But I haven't had any of those cravings for pretty close to 8-9 months now. But especially the first year, I still would find myself reaching for the phone to order up a Domino's or a Papa John's. I've managed to resist, but I still get them occasionally. How about you, Rick? I know you haven't had a craving for anything outside the diet for 40 plus years now. Have you had any challenges other than perhaps trying to run a comb through the lard in your hair?
I've had a lot of challenges. My biggest challenge is finding a good deal on quality meat. You know, a lot of times I go to the store, it's the price is way up there, and I'm trying to find out what day they're going to have the sale. They usually mark down the meat in the afternoon, so that means I have to make a special trip over to the Winn-Dixie, try to get a deal, or hit the dumpster over, once in a while. That's my biggest challenge, is finding good quality meats. And the other challenge is dealing with some of my friends when they have their get-togethers, because a lot of times they don't remember that there's certain things that I don't want to eat. I think a lot of times people think, well, I can't eat it. I said, look, I can eat anything I want. I could eat out of the dumpster if I wanted to. I just don't want to. Would you want to eat nasty food covered in maggots? No. Now, if I was a duck and I saw food covered in maggots, I'd be super excited, because they start tapping their feet and they come running to you. When they see the maggots, they're like, but that's a bird. But my biggest challenge has been just trying to find good quality meats, and a lot of times trying to help other people to understand why I don't want to eat their cake or their pizza. You mentioned pizza. Why in the world are people so crazy about pizza? Instead of having a pizza, I'd like to have a heart attack burger. I mean, think about it. If I had a whole pizza or a heart attack burger, which one? Well, I mean, now that you're carnivore, would you rather have a heart attack burger or a pizza? That's a good question. Because what is a pizza? It's some nasty bread, and then there's some vegetable oil, and there's some kind of mystery sauce. There may be pepperoni. There may be anchovies. And of course, if you're a sardine hater, you're not going to have anchovies on your pizza. And then there's cheese on top. So really, what's the big deal? You have a heart attack burger. It has meat. It has cheese. It has eggs and pork rinds. And it's so delicious. When the burgers are cooking, they're sizzling. It smells good. You're heating up your heart attack buns in the fat. And all of a sudden, you're like, oh, it's just so delicious. You think, why would anybody want to have a pizza? Even heart attack chicken. I'd rather have heart attack chicken than a pizza, because it's so crunchy. It tastes so good. It's so easy to cook. You put your tallow or lard in the stove, you turn on the heat, throw the chicken in there, and then as it cooks, it smells better and better. And when you bite into it, it has that nice crunch. It's so good. And, but I don't know. What temptation is there, really?
Okay. And a quick comment by John here. He says, "Hey, Dave, I see you rolled out of bed and put a hat on."
Yep.
And
that's
then-
a reference to the video that I just put up explaining
Yes.
the hatless video that I just put up. Yeah.
And there are a few people that may not have seen a couple of your recent videos, so we'll go ahead and address this question here. Again here, Dancing with Life wants to know how you're doing with no coffee.
Okay, a confession. I have added coffee back in of late, about the last month. And reason being, I was kind of falling asleep during the day. I'd be doing something that didn't require any movement, like sitting working on the computer, and just suddenly find myself nodding off like this. So it was making me very unproductive. And even though I should actually look at it as, okay, well, that means I'm not getting enough sleep. That's just, at the moment, that isn't an option for me with a few of the commitments that I've got. So I've just brought the coffee back in for the moment. So yeah, but the plan is to give it up again.
Yeah, and I'm currently on day 40 of my 60 days no coffee. And I still don't feel any different. I mean, I've done 2 different 30-day experiments and thought, well, maybe I just didn't give it enough time. So I decided to do a 60-day run this time. And I'm still not noticing any difference, positive or negative. And I'm going to give it the full 60 days to see what happens, but I stand by what I've said in earlier videos that I don't think I really have any positive or negative effects from coffee. The positive effect, of course, being is that I like coffee. So we'll see what happens as we move on down the line here. John says, quack, quack, quack. So he's obviously talking to, yeah.
Yeah, I'm the only quack here.
Mhm. So, Running Tap wants to know, did Rick love any non-carnivore food?
Good question.
Mm, that's a tough one because pretty much everything that's non-carnivore I consider duck food. I guess the only non-carnivore food that I would like is heart attack fries, which are plantains fried in beef tallow. So, and I can only eat so many of them, but I guess that would be the one non-carnivore food. And I also did like occasionally popcorn, but only when it's cooked in lard or beef tallow. There really isn't any vegan food that I like, and
Mm.
that's one of the drawbacks I think of me because fruit doesn't tempt me except for green fried bananas, and yeah, I'm kind of the oddball, I think.
Okay.
Mm.
How about you, Dave? You ever get into any non-carnivore foods? Not necessarily,
Uh,
well, since you've been carnivore in 2 years, but anything you really miss?
I don't. I can't say that I really miss anything because even if I have this fleeting thought, oh, I wonder what this thing would taste like, whether it's like some bread or ice cream or something like that. Like it always comes with that feeling of, yeah, but how would that make me feel?
Hmm.
I always instantly have that same thought at the same time, so I never kind of feel like I miss out on anything. Yeah. How about you, Bob?
Yeah, no, other than the occasional pizza cravings, I talk about this a lot on my videos that we do have to make these decisions for ourselves. I don't really miss anything. And the
Mm,
things that I would like to have on occasion, I don't because I remember how I felt 2 years ago when I
mm,
started this journey. And I have always said, we're all adults. We can eat whatever we want. If a Snickers bar is what, stop making the faces, Rick. But if a Snickers bar
Nasty.
is what, if Snickers bar is what you really want, but then you have to sit down and compare, do I really want this Snickers bar more than I want to be able to go down to my Texas property and start building my own home?
mm,
The answer is very easily no, I don't want that Snickers bar. And that's how I avoid the occasional whatever it is. So while I do still would like to have, the occasional Danish or a donut or pick your favorite duck food. Every time you say something like that, Rick's going to make a face.
I can't
But
stand that nasty duck food. Although I have to admit, there is one pizza that I do like, and that's a pacemaker pizza. That's the best pizza in the world.
pacemaker pizza. What's in the pacemaker pizza?
Pacemaker pizza is 100% carnivore. It's high fat. It's very good. The crust is made out of white meat chicken mixed with eggs and cheese, and it's deep fried in pure lard. And then you put ground meat, you put sausages, you put cream or whatever else you want in there. So it's almost like a penne kind of pasta sauce. It's just dairy and meat and that's it. And it's delicious because the pacemaker pizza crust is very crispy, but it's also tough. So it doesn't break when you chew into it. So imagine it's like a chicken sandwich and a pizza all in one. And
Oh,
actually,
nice.
what is his name? What is the guy that's trying to lose weight? He's really fat, and he's up in Alabama. Um, Carnivore Kip. You've seen
carnivore
him.
kid.
Oh,
Yeah, he actually one time took a regular pizza and he just ate the meat and cheese off of it. I thought that was pretty clever. That's the
mm,
good part of the pizza. But then it was sad that a bunch of these mean people started criticizing him. And a lot of times I think they've hurt his feelings, They're just some of these people are plain evil. They're over there criticizing somebody because they're not doing it right or something like that. But when it comes to pizza, I mean, obviously I don't like it. And it's like a lot of the food you mentioned, the donuts, because he's also tempted by the donuts and
mm,
bagels and stuff like that. And I don't understand it. But again, I'm not going to make fun of somebody. I may make a
mm.
bad face, but I'm not going to say you're a bad person because you're eating duck food Because the thing is, I love ducks. I love ducks. I think they're
Mm.
cute. They waddle around, they act silly, and I feed them that nasty stuff. And you don't see me saying, "Oh, ducks are garbage." No, I love ducks. It's just, I just make a funny face when people offer me. It's like when you're a kid and they offer you veggies. Here, have some veggies. What do the kids always do? Ugh, get that away from
Mm.
me. I've never seen a baby that goes, "Oh, veggies," and they want it. They're always like, "Ugh, here, have your veggies. Open your
Yeah.
mouth. Close your eyes, and you're going to get a big surprise." And then they get the
Can I have
veggies.
some
Like,
more celery?
let me have more cooked carrots.
Patrick is here. I believe it says hello from France. Happy anniversary.
G'day, Patrick. How you doing, Patrick?
I stay away from anything processed, no matter how good the reviews. Josephine says, "Howdy, beautiful people. Happy birthday, Bob." Hello, Josephine. I'm glad you're here.
Hey, Josephine.
Let's see here. I'm making a carnivore pizza right now. Chicken crust and homemade super low carb sauce.
Yes.
That way I know what's going into it.
That sounds good. See, that's one pizza I would love to try.
Mm,
Nice.
awesome.
Bob, if you end up doing the Appalachian Trail, you should have subscribers all along the way meet up with you and upload videos of those meetups. That would be fun. We'll see
Yeah.
what happens.
Mm.
Yeah.
And DC Learning Live says, "I'm with you, Rick. I'm far enough behind in the comments as I don't know what they're with you on, but that's okay. I have MS and trying to heal my symptoms. I'm full lion at this time, feeling pretty good. Happy birthday, Bob." Yes,
Mm.
I have no experience with MS, but I do know there are a few of them out there on YouTube. I've seen interviews with people, and they have, if not completely healed their symptoms, they've lessened them significantly by going full lion, which for those watching, if you don't know what a full lion diet is, it's just ruminant meat, salt, and water.
Mm.
Happy birthday,
Hey,
Bob. Hi,
Mandy.
Dave. Hi, Mr. Heart Attack Chicken. Fab, you're here together. Hi, everybody. I'm glad you made it, Mandy.
Yeah, good day,
And
man.
yes, there are some people saying that we hope you succeed, man. We do. We all hope you succeed in that.
It's ironic that I'm known as the heart attack guy, and I haven't even had a bypass. So,
Yeah. This is a good question. The way it's worded, it says, "Can you put spices on your meats to cook?" Yes.
why
you
not?
can.
Do whatever you want.
You can do whatever you want.
Mm.
Ideally, I don't know. I tend to just use salt. I originally was using salt and pepper. And then when I cut out pepper for a while and then went back to it, I realized that pepper was one of my problems.
Mm.
So what I suggest on my channel is try just salt for 60 days. And then if you like the other spices, add them back one at a time for about a week at a time, so you can tell if you get a reaction to that spice. And then if you don't have a reaction to it, I think it's perfectly acceptable to use those spices. But what do you say about that, Rick?
It's funny you mentioned that because people ask me all the time, do you put spices on your meat? I said, no, I do not. Well, I made you a steak and I put some pepper on it. Is that okay? I said, I don't have a problem with it. I just personally don't use it. And I've eaten meat that's been spiced and seasoned. I said, just as long as you don't put any seed oils on there. And they all know what seed oils are now. But I've had people put pepper, onions, and all these things. And honestly, I can eat all of those and it doesn't bother me. But you have to realize I don't eat this stuff on a regular basis. So it hasn't really built up in my system. But I think some people, they put so much spice on the meat and then they wonder why they get indigestion. I know a lot of people, they have to have Tums or they have to have Rolaids or whatever it is that they use, because I think one of the reasons is they're putting too much spices. And you have to also understand, where do the spices come from? They come from parts of the plant like seeds and roots, things that are defended. A lot of those spices are there to keep the pests away. They're not there to make something taste good to us. It's just, I think people get adapted to it. So I
Mm.
don't use spices on my meat. I don't even put salt on beef. I am against the use of salt for anything except for poultry and maybe fish. I do love salt on my heart attack chicken, and I will salt shrimp. Fish, it depends on the type. I don't really like it too salty, but you'll never see me put salt on a burger or steak. You know, I like beef so much, and I think once you've been a carnivore this long, you appreciate the natural taste of meat. If it was safe, I would just eat it raw. I don't have a problem eating raw meat. I generally don't do it because I don't want to get sick. Of course, I've never been sick, even though I've done it a few times. But I think when it comes to spices, that's your choice. If you like the taste of it, like Bob says, and it doesn't bother you, go for it. Why not? But if you're having problems, it might be a good idea to just quit all the spices for a while and see what happens. And you may be surprised. You may find out that that pepper you were putting on there may have been causing you some other problems.
Mm.
Have anything to add to all that, Dave?
Yeah, no, I think your answers are good. I just want to emphasize what one of the things Rick was saying is like, you can eat whatever you want. You know, you can have that spice, you can have that, you can even have that ice cream or whatever if you want. The problem is when you're having it all the time and it builds up and, you know, you get addicted to it, but also, you know, it's not, as it's building up, it's getting worse and worse for your body. And that's when it just takes over, you know? So it's how you react to it, and it's the dose, I guess.
Okay. Got a question down here. Bob, what 3 things would you like to accomplish during this next year? Obviously,
nice
I'd like to
question.
get down to Texas and get started on my house. There are so many projects down there. I could cheap out on the question and say, those are the 3 things I want to do. I want to get my house started. I want to put in a fence. I want to put in a water tank. I want to put in a proper driveway. But I'll just Texas as one. One of the things that I really hope to accomplish this year, which will eventually lead to me being able to through hike the Appalachian Trail as well, is my knees are still a little stiff. Now, I can get up and down off the floor. Like I do push-ups every day, but I do them close to a chair or a bed because I do still need a little bit of a push on something to get myself up and down off the ground. I cannot go out and lay down in the middle of my yard and then get back up again without a lot of struggling. So I want to continue to improve on getting up and down so that I can get up and down off the ground easily, because to through hike the Appalachian Trail, you have to be able to sleep in a tent or a hammock or something, but mostly it's getting up and down off the ground easily, because you don't want to start your day with a 20-minute struggle trying to roll in just the right way to get yourself up off the ground. So that's what I'd like to accomplish this year. Do you have any goals like that for the year, Rick?
I have a lot of goals. My first goal is to get my truck back where I can rely on it. And I'm like you, I have a lot, but it's over there up in Florida. It's by Lake Okeechobee. I need to see if I'm going to keep that or if I'm going to move somewhere else. Plus, my house here is falling apart. My roof is, well, let's just say not that great. I have a tarp on it and I have plants on top of it to keep the water out. I need to fix that. Plus, I have a bunch of stuff I'm going through. I have stuff still from my mom. I have stuff that I've got put away. And I have a bunch of projects. My bulldozer's broken. My other Bobcat's broken. I got enough work to keep me busy. Plus, to make money, doing work for other people. And what I'd really like to do, if I can, is to find a way to make better YouTube videos. Now, again, I'm on YouTube as a hobby, so it's like the bottom of my list. I'm not like some of the YouTubers that are out there making money off of it. In my 16 years on YouTube, I have yet to make a single cent. And also, I always wanted to go on YouTube to meet people. I have not met anybody in person yet in 16 years. So those are 2 goals. I mean, who knows? I thought it might happen when Sean Baker came to Miami, but of course, us little people are not really, I think, on his radar. And, when you have money like that, you usually stay in a part of town that us poor people don't go to. But who knows? There might be somebody that comes down. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. But if I could get my truck fixed and maybe fix my roof, that would be good enough for the rest of this year. I'm hoping in the next couple of years I'll be able to move somewhere where I can have a better lifestyle. That would be my ultimate goal.
How about you, Dave? You got some goals for the coming year?
I think the one goal that I've got is that I want to get to a point where I'm doing some weights or some kind of body weight exercises that I can sustain long term and actually start building some muscle. Because I've been, thinking about, I want to do some muscle building stuff, but the thought of having to maintain that always kind of makes me shy away from doing it. So I want to work out some kind of plan that I can stick to. So that's my goal for, it's coming up to the middle of the year, so that's my goal for the second half of the year.
Okay, and we have $1 million comment coming in here because it's definitely $1 million idea. Maybe if ranchers mixed coffee grounds into cattle feed, they could produce meat with caffeine. I'm all over that one.
Nice idea.
I've already done that with ducks, but it didn't make the duck meat taste any different.
Oh, darn. Let's see here. I knew it. I can't give up my coffee. Heavy cream butter. I roast my own beans. Makes a difference. Excellent. And I'm on day 59, no coffee. How's that working out for you? I said,
nice work.
Coffee is one of those things that is very divisive in our community because there are the hardliners that say you shouldn't have any plants and coffee is a plant. And I understand that point of view. But the comment that I made back when I first started my channel still holds true today. I do not drink coffee for my own well-being. I drink coffee for the well-being of people I come in contact with every day. Let's jump. More Health is here. Hey, John, how you doing today? Let's see here.
And John's in Florida too, Rick.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah.
Yep, let's see here.
There must be a few of us here.
Let's see here. I've handled pizza parties at work by just scraping the toppings off slices of pepperoni pizza, pepperoni cheese, and a little sauce. Just don't eat the bread. Yeah, that's and I have done that, and I do remember. I don't remember where it was, and it was about 1.5 years ago. I was early in my carnivore journey. I went out to eat with some friends, and we went to a pizza place, and it was one of those places where you all get your own pizza, and it was like a 12-inch pizza for $5 was their special for the night. And I put one slice of crust down, and then scraped all of the toppings off the whole pizza onto that one crust. And that's what I ate. So I did eat one piece of crust, but that was...
And, you can do something with the crust, too, with the pizza. There's you don't have any ducks over there, do you?
I don't.
Okay.
I knew you were going with that you could feed that pizza crust to the ducks.
That's right.
But I don't have any ducks. Ducks is another one of those things that if I can find a breed that is hardy enough to survive in the desert, as long as I have like a kid's swimming pool filled with water for them to climb into.
Muscovy duck. That's what you need.
And let's see here. Running tap or soft pretzels. I miss Philly pretzels. I've been to Philly. I've had some of the street vendor pretzels. I'm with you on that one, man. Those were really good. Let's see. I'm just trying to get through a few more of these comments because we got about 10 minutes left here.
Wait.
And Thin Bear's here. Happy holidays, Bob.
Hey.
I'm afraid my expressions are like Rick's. I can't help it. I understand. I put spices on my meat every now and then, but after about 8-9 months on carnivore, I can scarcely handle most of them anymore. They tear up my guts. Yeah, and I've never figured out what it was. Back early in my journey again, I had one serving left of some taco spice that I used to love to make taco meat with. And I thought, well, other than a little spice, that taco meat is just ground beef. So I used the last of my taco spice to make a big bowl of ground beef taco meat, and it tore me up. Now, I have since discovered that I can have red pepper, but not black pepper. And I can have cinnamon, but not nutmeg, and a few other things here and there. But at this point, I don't even care enough about adding spices to my food to really take the time to figure out which spices that were in that did it to me, because I just don't use any of it anymore. But again, it's a good experiment, because I know a lot of people that they're like, oh gosh, I love ground beef, but I can't just eat ground beef. I have to put some salt on it or put some mustard on it. And
whatever,
whatever gets you through the day. And as I've said many times, I even said it earlier in this live stream, if you don't enjoy what you're eating, the odds of you sticking with your meal plan are much less than if you enjoy what you're eating.
Good point.
Let's see here. I made Chris Cooking Nashville's burger buns yesterday. They were delicious. I tried a few different recipes, but his was by far the best.
Oh, no.
Yes. And, I've heard this about white pepper being easier to digest than black pepper. I have been meaning to try it. There is somebody that watches my channel that's local that says at some point when we meet, they're going to let me try a little bit of white pepper, because white pepper is a lot more expensive, and I don't want to buy a whole thing of white pepper, use it one time, and then have to throw it away, because I'm an old man on a fixed income. I don't spend any money I don't have to. So anything else you guys would like to talk about? I'm going to scroll down here a little bit. If you have any last minute questions, now's the time to get them in. There's a name I haven't seen yet. Rachel says happy birthday. Thank you, Rachel.
Hey, Rachel.
Let's see here. We've gotten to the bottom. Beef mince in clumps in the air fryer. Yum. A little salt after cooked.
Sounds good.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm looking. Not that I have not enjoyed this live stream, but I'm looking forward to the end of it, because you weren't here for the beginning, Dave. I have 2 ribeyes coming up to room temperature on my kitchen counter. And they're going into the cast iron pan that somebody sent me as soon as this live stream is over.
No sardines?
No. No. There's several people have commented that they need to make a sardine cake and bring it to me, just as you did when you first came in, that you were late because you were putting together a sardine cake for me. It seems I'm known as the anti-sardine guy, even though I'm not anti-sardine.
Oh,
I can't eat them. I just don't enjoy them.
There is somebody worse than you, though.
Yeah?
Nicole.
Oh, yeah.
She goes, blah, ugh, ugh, all the time. I could aggravate her by talking about sardines or talking about me taking a bath with my rubber duckies.
So, okay. We do have one quick question here I want to get in before I start wrapping this thing up. Dave, are you planning on visiting the U.S. anytime soon?
I do. I would like to actually be coming. It's coming up soon, right? I'd like to be going to KetoCon, but it's just not going to be possible financially this year. So hopefully I can put some pennies aside, and I can get there next year for KetoCon. So I guess that's usually in Texas. So I guess I'd be visiting around Texas if I was coming over.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I'll find you a rattlesnake to sleep with on my square of land. So before I let everybody go, we'll start with Rick. Rick, what do you got coming up over the next few weeks that you'd like everybody to know about?
Well, just the usual, my occasional videos. I have the projects I want to do here. Obviously, there's my truck, there's the van, there's, doing things around the yard, the ducks. But really the main thing I want to do, I'm trying to figure out how to get some kind of software or hardware that works, because I have a list. I made a list of subjects I want to do for videos, and it's already about 40 items on there. Everything from the carnivore diet to what you would appreciate, homesteading and independent living, and also my homemade generator, wood gas. I do a lot of different things. And of course, I want to break out one of the old Chargers and start it up. It's been sitting for about 3 years, so it's about time to, put some fuel in it and take it for a drive around the neighborhood. So we'll see, how that works out. But yeah, that's pretty much what I got cooking.
Okay, and Dave, what do you got coming up in the future here in the next few weeks that you'd like everybody to know about?
Well, I've got, on my channel, I've got more interviews coming up, but one thing I'd like to do, and I need to work out how I'm going to do this, is kind of incorporate a little bit more of Japan into my videos. So I'd like to maybe put a video, like do a full video in a yakiniku restaurant, or do a video where I'm actually at a lot of the sites in Japan, so that people can get more of a taste for what it's like here. But yeah, I'm just kind of working out the logistics of how to do some of that stuff. So stay tuned.
Okay, and as always, I have tons of stuff coming up. But if you want to know what they are, you got to tune into my channel to find out. I hope everybody's had a great time today. We're coming up on the 2-hour mark. Thanks for being here today, Rick. Thanks for stopping in, Dave. I've really appreciated having you guys here to help me celebrate my birthday. I just want to say thanks for being here. And don't forget, everybody, get out there and be 1% better. Today, tomorrow, every day. Have a great day, folks. We'll see you in the next one.